My name's Dan Smith, and I'm a People Operations Associate Consultant for BlendMe. My start in remote work happened the same way it happened for many other people about 4 years ago when the pandemic hit. We were kind of forced to do it, right? I remember I was a teacher's assistant in a large statistics class, and the professor said, announce to the class and to the TAs for the first time, hey, we might need to transition to online. And my initial thinking was, no way, I quit if that's what I have to do. Like, this has to be in person. Sure enough, we transferred to online, and eventually the dust settles. You kind of figure out how to navigate it, how to use the tools, breakout rooms, that was such a novel thing. And then you eventually find your groove. And now we're to the point where I do most things in this capacity, right? Like, I continued working on my PhD, do my own remote work as a consultant. And then there's a lot of other things that I do now too, which is like attending conferences, presenting at conferences, doing teaching remotely, networking, like having informational interviews. Your ability to connect with people sooner is a lot greater with this. So finding a lot of new, exciting opportunities with this format as well. It has certainly changed at times for me personally. I got married about 1.5 years ago now, and we have an 8-month-old daughter. And so the flexibility that it affords, to be able to get your work done, still make an impact in a way that presents organizations with minimal amount of overhead, while I can be here in my home office and my wife and daughter are in the other room. If I have an opportunity to take a lunch break, I can go play with them and we can go outside and put the baby in the swing. So that balance is personally very relevant. And this is what allows me to do that, right? If I had to go into an office, I wouldn't get these, multiple breaks during the day where I get so much energy in life from that. Certainly something I've worked on a lot over the last several years has been being able to sit in a group of people and hear different perspectives from participants in a group, whether it's in a class project or in a team in an organization, and take all the different perspectives that I'm hearing and and be able to articulate a simple common ground that all of their unique perspectives touch. So that way we can find solutions for maybe shared problems they may have. We have this one company we're working for right now where we're doing a bunch of interviews with all the different departments, and everyone has different perspectives on some of the same issues. And so when we're called in to do our job of finding one or a short list of reasonable, tangible solutions that can be implemented, we have to be able to balance all of those unique perspectives and stakeholders really that are involved in those conflicts or challenges. I think that's something that's been surprisingly very, very necessary and just helpful to be able to do. The Tree Collective has been wonderful for many reasons. I think for someone like myself who's a little bit newer, younger in his career, it's oftentimes hard to get a remote consulting business off the ground. The Tree Collective at BlendMe has given me support and collaborative opportunities to work on all of that, right? Whether it's collaborating with people for ideas on content creation for articles and blogs that we write, to, collaborating with specific client work. And then one other thing I think that's particularly useful is the sense of community. I feel that sense of community with those who are part of it and all of the benefits that come with that, right? Feeling a shared sense of purpose, feeling like people have your back, feeling that support, and just being able to connect with people on a regular basis. You've kind of got this like home base of people that you get to connect with. Through my work, through my research and studies, there have been a few things that have stood out. Number one, it has to do with engagement, right? You hear that word tossed around, but what does that really mean? And I think that the way I see that term, that idea, is that you've got employees or contractors who have work that demands a consistent engagement, right? So employees' job designs are such that the demands on them to pay attention to work, to engage with those who are also doing the same work is there always. And inherent in the work are constant abilities to learn and develop new skills. So some people might have a job where the work they do is fairly routine, right? And then if there's no built-in development from there, people might start to disengage, right? They might start to reduce the amount of communication they have with their supervisors or peers because it's all dialed in, it's okay. And then the other thing I'm seeing a lot of is this idea that we can't really overestimate how important it is for people to feel like they've been treated fairly. So whenever something happens, and a lot has happened over the last few years, it's created a lot of uncertainty for employees. People have wondered, is my job at stake? Is my health at risk? How am I doing as an employee? And when people feel like maybe they've received some sort of bad outcome, there's this tendency we have to kind of think, have I been treated unfairly in this? And when employees can consistently say that they've been treated fairly by their supervisors, by their organization, it facilitates this trusting relationship. And that's really a sign that you've got a healthy working relationship and probably a very healthy organizational role. The first thing organizations need to do is kind of soften a little bit. First of all, recognize that kind of rigidity of thought they have towards something that at this point is outdated, right? And so I think that the question that organizations should start by reflecting on is, maybe this isn't a lose situation for us. Maybe this is something that can be mutually beneficial for the employee and for the organization. That's not just letting my employee be at home all day, right? Maybe there are some actual benefits here. What are those benefits for having remote work? And there are many, right? I think some obvious ones that don't take a lot of thought to arrive at are, you reduce a lot of the overhead, right? By distributing your workforce, you don't have to pay as much or potentially at all for something like an office. There are other things that you pay for, but ultimately you save resources there. You save employees and therefore your organization time. In this day and age, it seems like organizations that are really thriving are finding new ways to put their employees first. Like finding new ways to really help support employees' needs. And the needs of employees are changing as the world's changing. And so when organizations can kind of keep up with that, it might seem like an initial cost at first, but in the long run, it allows organizations to remain resilient because kind of what I mentioned earlier, it actually facilitates this genuine caring relationship between organization and employee